The market was alive with noise and chaos, a cacophony of alien languages, trading cries, and the clatter of hooves and mechanical carts. Humans were rare here, almost unheard of, and yet one young man stood out among the traders, prisoners, and servants. His name was Ethan. Barely 20, he had been sold from one human slave ring to another, dragged across star systems for profit. His clothes were tattered, his hands roughened by chains, and his eyes held a quiet fire that refused to dim, even in the face of despair. Today, however, was unlike any other day. The crowd whispered among themselves as a massive spacecraft landed at the edge of the market. It was unlike anything Ethan had ever seen, sleek, gleaming silver with shimmering light that seemed almost alive. From the ramp descended a figure taller than most humans, her presence commanding every eye in the market. She was draped in royal garments that glowed with energy, her crown-like headpiece sparkling with jewels that reflected the sunlight. The crowd parted instinctively, and a hush fell over the area. This was no ordinary traveler. This was the alien queen, known across galaxies as a ruler both feared and respected. Ethan's heart pounded. He had heard whispers of the queen, tales of her cunning diplomacy and unmatched power, but he never imagined meeting her, much less in person. The market overseer, a rotund alien with multiple eyes, approached and bowed, speaking rapidly in a tongue Ethan could barely understand. The queen's translator device, embedded in her throat, converted her response into perfect common English, making her voice resonate in the open air like music. "I am here for one thing. The human," she said, her gaze locking onto Ethan, "who stands apart from the rest." Ethan's stomach dropped. Why him? He was nothing special, just another human, another lost soul. But as he looked into her eyes, he saw something different. Curiosity, intelligence, and perhaps a recognition of potential. The Queen's guard stepped forward, their armor shining, and without a word they moved to lift him from the market floor. Panic surged through Ethan, but he was too shocked to resist. He was being bought. Not for slavery, not for punishment, but for a purpose that he could not yet understand. The Queen's ship was vast and unlike any place Ethan had ever known. It hummed with energy, and the walls seemed to pulse as if alive. He was led into a chamber that looked more like a palace than a room, with floating lights casting soft glows on intricately designed furniture. The air smelled faintly of flowers and something metallic, and every sound echoed perfectly, making even his own breathing feel grand. The Queen observed him carefully. "You are human," she said, almost as if stating the obvious. "And yet there is something different about you, courage, will, adaptability." Ethan swallowed hard. I don't understand. Why me?" Her eyes softened slightly. "You have survived much, yet you are not broken. Most humans would have perished under the same circumstances. That resilience is rare, valuable, necessary." Ethan frowned. "Necessary for what?" The Queen smiled faintly, and for a moment she seemed almost like a regular person, rather than the ruler of an entire empire. "There is a threat to my people, one that not even my army can face alone. I need someone who can think differently, act unpredictably, and above all survive. You, human, may hold the key." Confusion and fear wrestled within Ethan, but alongside it came a spark of something he hadn't felt in years: hope. Maybe, just maybe, he wasn't worthless. Maybe he could finally do something meaningful. Over the next days, Ethan was introduced to the workings of the Queen's empire. He met alien advisors, scientists, and warriors, each one observing him with a mixture of curiosity and doubt. They spoke of the looming threat, a rival species from a distant galaxy known as the Zorath, who sought to conquer the Queen's worlds for their resources. Entire planets had already fallen under their control, and whispers of their cruelty chilled even the bravest souls. Ethan struggled to keep up with the alien technology and their strategies. Holographic displays showed fleets of ships, battle tactics, and planetary maps that twisted and moved in 3 dimensions. The Queen explained patiently, her tone firm but not unkind. "You must learn quickly. The decisions you make may determine the survival of millions." Ethan listened, absorbing as much as he could. Despite the alien surroundings and advanced technology, he found himself relying on the same skills that had kept him alive as a slave: observation, intuition, and the ability to read people, or in this case, aliens. He noticed patterns, inconsistencies, and opportunities others missed. Slowly, the Queen and her advisors began to see it too. Ethan was not merely a human. They were witnessing the emergence of a mind that could think in ways none of them could. One evening, as the twin suns of the planet outside began to set, Ethan found himself alone in the palace gardens. The plants glowed softly in colors that didn't exist on Earth, and strange creatures flitted among them. The queen approached, silent as a shadow, and Ethan turned to face her. "You are doing well," she said, her voice carrying genuine approval. "But this is only the beginning. The Zorath will not wait for us to be ready. You must be prepared to act even when it is terrifying." Ethan nodded, though inside he felt the weight of the responsibility pressing down on him. "I'll try," he said quietly. Her gaze softened. "Trying is not enough. You must do, and you will have my support, human. You are no longer just a survivor. You are part of something greater." The next challenge came sooner than he expected. Reports arrived that a Zorath scout ship had been spotted near one of the outer colonies. Panic rippled through the palace, and the queen called an emergency council. Ethan stood among generals and strategists, feeling out of place yet determined. "Human," the queen said, turning to him, "I want your plan. You have seen things differently. Speak." Ethan hesitated, then began outlining a strategy he had been considering. It involved deception, speed, and exploiting weaknesses in the Zorath fleet that no one else had noticed. As he spoke, the room fell silent. Eyes that had doubted him moments ago now studied him with growing respect. The queen's lips curved into a small smile of approval. By the time the council adjourned, Ethan had not only survived his first test, but had earned a measure of trust from the most powerful beings in the galaxy. He was beginning to understand that being chosen by the queen was not a punishment. It was an opportunity, and he was determined not to fail. As night fell over the alien planet, Ethan stood on the balcony of the palace looking out at the stars. He thought of Earth, of his family, of the life he had lost. And yet, for the first time, he felt that perhaps he had been given a second chance not to escape, but to change the course of countless lives, including his own. Somewhere in the vast expanse of space, the Zorath were moving, unaware that a human, once a slave, was preparing to challenge them. And in the quiet determination of one young man, the galaxy might find its most unexpected hope. The hum of the Queen's ship filled the air as Ethan reviewed his plans one more time. The Zorath fleet was approaching faster than predicted, and tension rippled through the palace. Every advisor, every general, and every warrior was on edge. Yet Ethan felt something new, a sense of purpose. No longer just a human who had survived slavery, he was now part of a larger battle, one where his choices could tip the balance of entire star systems. The Queen entered the strategy room, her presence commanding attention. Even in the dim light of the holographic displays, her regal posture and sharp eyes made it clear why she was feared and respected across galaxies. "Time is short," she said. "Your plan, human?" "Explain it again, clearly. We must act now." Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady despite the pounding of his heart. "We need to divide their fleet. Their strength lies in numbers and speed. But if we can lure part of them into the asteroid field near the outer colonies, we can neutralize a significant portion without engaging all at once. Then our ships can strike the remainder from an unexpected angle, targeting their engines first. That will slow them down and give us the advantage." The room fell silent. Alien generals and strategists exchanged looks, some skeptical, others intrigued. The Queen's gaze, however, was unwavering. "It is risky," she said, "but it has merit. We will trust your judgment." Ethan felt a flicker of pride, but knew this was just the beginning. Plans on paper rarely survive the chaos of real battle. He spent hours walking through simulations, adjusting variables, and preparing the crew. He learned to communicate with alien pilots who initially found his instructions odd, but gradually recognized the clever logic behind them. By the time the Zorath ships appeared on the scanners, Ethan had gained a measure of authority that few humans had ever achieved in a galactic empire. The first clash came near the outer colonies. Ethan's strategy was executed precisely. Part of the Zorath fleet pursued the decoy ships into the asteroid field, where mines and traps awaited. Explosions lit the void of space like fireworks, and the screams of Zorath pilots echoed through the Queen's communication systems. Ethan watched tense, but his heart swelled with a strange sense of satisfaction. The human mind, he realized, could outthink even the most technologically advanced alien warriors. The remaining Zorath ships turned toward the main fleet, expecting an easy victory. But the Queen's ships, guided by Ethan's unconventional tactics, attacked from angles the Zorath had never anticipated. They struck at engines, supply lines, and communication arrays, causing confusion and panic. Slowly, the tide of battle began to turn. Amid the chaos, Ethan noticed a smaller Zorath vessel attempting to flank the Queen's flagship. Without hesitation, he boarded a fighter and intercepted it, relying on instinct, observation, and quick decision-making. The dogfight was tense, the ship twisting and darting through space like a living thing. But Ethan's persistence paid off. He disabled the Zorath vessel without destroying it entirely, capturing crucial intelligence that would aid in the final stages of the conflict. The Queen observed from the command deck, her expression unreadable. When Ethan returned, triumphant but exhausted, she nodded in approval. "You have done more than survive, human. You have proven the worth of your species. Many would have panicked, yet you acted with clarity and courage. That is rare among any species, even my own." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest, a mix of relief and pride. "I only did what I thought was right," he said. Her eyes softened, a rare display of emotion. "And that is why I chose you? Your instincts, your morality, your resilience, they are invaluable. You are more than a human. You are a symbol of hope." The battle continued for days, but the strategy Ethan had devised kept the Zorath off balance. Slowly, planet by planet, the invaders were repelled. The Queen's advisors, who had once doubted a human's role in war, now looked to Ethan for insight. He suggested troop movements, defensive measures, and logistics that no alien system had considered. Every victory reinforced the value of human creativity and adaptability. One evening, after a particularly intense skirmish, Ethan was walking through the palace gardens when the Queen joined him. The alien night sky shimmered with unfamiliar constellations, and the air was filled with a soft, bioluminescent glow. "You have changed much in a short time," she said. Ethan shrugged, though he felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. "I just wanted to help. I didn't expect all this attention." She laughed softly, a sound that seemed almost human in its warmth. "Attention is inevitable when one alters the fate of an empire. You have done more than any human or alien could have imagined. You have not only saved my people, but also shown that humanity is not to be underestimated." Ethan felt a surge of pride, but also humility. "I couldn't have done it alone. Your people, your ships, your guidance, they made this possible." The Queen nodded. "True, but your perspective made the difference. You thought beyond rules, beyond expectations. That is the essence of what I call ingenuity, and it is rare." Days later, the final confrontation occurred near the heart of the Zorath fleet. Ethan, aboard the Queen's flagship, coordinated attacks while the Queen herself led the main forces. The Zorath were relentless, but Ethan's strategies had sown confusion and mistrust among their ranks. Ships turned on one another, supply lines were cut, and their commanders fell one by one. In a daring maneuver, Ethan led a small strike team directly to the Zorath command vessel. The operation was dangerous, but he relied on every skill he had learned since being bought by the Queen. Using clever misdirection, the team infiltrated the vessel and disabled its core systems. The Zorath fleet, now leaderless and confused, was forced to retreat. Cheers erupted throughout the Queen's ships. Aliens who had once doubted humanity now hailed Ethan as a hero. He had done what few could. He had saved a civilization, not through brute force, but through intelligence, observation, and courage. When the dust settled, the Queen called a council to recognize the human who had changed the course of the war. Aliens of every species present looked at Ethan with admiration. The Queen herself stood before him, regal and imposing as ever. "You have earned your place among us," she declared. "Not as a servant, not as a pawn, but as a valued member of this empire. You have shown that humans, though few in number, are capable of extraordinary deeds. Your species has qualities that many have overlooked: creativity, resilience, and an indomitable spirit. You have proven that even the smallest, most overlooked being can change the fate of worlds." Ethan felt a mixture of pride and disbelief. I don't know what to say," he admitted. "You need say nothing," the Queen replied. "Actions speak louder than words, and yours have spoken clearly. Humanity has earned its respect, and you have earned your place." In the following weeks, Ethan continued to work closely with the Queen and her advisors. He helped rebuild colonies, establish trade routes, and strengthen defenses against future threats. His ideas, once dismissed as unconventional, became standard practice. Human ingenuity, he realized, was not limited to survival. It could shape entire civilizations. For Ethan, life had changed in ways he could never have imagined. The young man who had once been sold as a slave was now a key figure in an interstellar empire, trusted by a queen and admired by species across galaxies. He had discovered that courage, intelligence, and a willingness to act could elevate even the most overlooked being to greatness. One evening, as he watched the twin moons rise over the alien landscape, Ethan felt a deep sense of belonging. The galaxy was vast and full of unknown dangers, but he no longer felt powerless. He had a purpose, allies, and the chance to make a difference. Humans, he realized, were not weak, not helpless, and not insignificant. They were capable of changing the universe itself. And as the stars shimmered above, Ethan understood the truth that had carried him through every hardship. Survival alone was not enough. It was courage, creativity, and the willingness to act that made a being truly remarkable. He had survived slavery, escaped despair, and now stood as a symbol of humanity's potential. The queen approached silently, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You have done well, human," she said, her voice carrying both pride and admiration. "Together we will face whatever comes next. And now you are no longer alone. You are part of something greater, a force that will shape the future of countless worlds." Ethan nodded, feeling a strength he had never known. The galaxy stretched out before him, full of possibilities, dangers, and opportunities. He was no longer just a human survivor. He was a beacon of hope, a bridge between worlds, and a reminder that even the smallest spark could ignite a galaxy. The war had ended, but a new chapter had begun. And Ethan, the human who had once been bought and overlooked, was ready to lead, learn, and inspire. He had proven that humanity, though young and few in numbers, could stand tall among the stars, and that even in the darkest corners of the universe, courage, intelligence, and the human spirit could shine brighter than any star.